That's right, Riv. I've got Sneaky here. Welcome to my interview, Sneaky. First of all, happy birthday and congratulations on your victory. Now, that was actually a super long game. Game 3, you know, tension's pretty high there. You've got this rookie jungler contracts, Baron stealing scenarios, Elder Dragon smiting scenarios. How confident is he as far as the communication with the team?
It was a pretty draining series. So many Barons and Elders kept coming up. I think there was 2, maybe 3 Barons. So there was a lot of communication around it. I'd say for stealing, it was pretty rough because we had, run at the Nexus and we're like, oh crap, we can't actually kill. So then we ran back and we're like, oh god, they're gonna go Baron. And then we kind of at that point we're like, yeah, we're probably just gonna have to go for a steal. So I mean, it was a bit of contract saying like, yeah, I should probably stick around. And then Jensen was saying like he could combo his ulti to try to steal it. So it's like a team effort plus contracts.
Yeah, definitely well done by him. Honestly, for the bottom lane, there have been a lot of changes recently with the meta. Not only AD carries, also supports, a little bit of itemization. Deathfire Touch got nerfed, Bork got buffed. You are one of the guys, when people watch your stream, you're jumping on the new champion, like immediately trying out new builds. What is your favorite part about the recent switches in the meta? Is it Lulu?
Lulu's pretty annoying to deal with. It's just constant speed ups. Like you can't really poke them because they have a shield on them and they're faster than you. They do more damage. It's like, oh god, get away from me. But Bork is pretty fun to try out right now. There's like the Lucian builds, like Bork Cleaver. Kog'Maw has a bunch of Bork. Ezreal built Bork already, but just got better for him. But it's pretty cool. I'd say support is a little stale in general. Just not specifically like Lulu, but there's just like Karma 24/7. So it's okay in the bot lane.
A lot of shields, a lot of poking. So next week, looking forward for you guys. You've been able to put a stop to your losing streak here, but you are coming up against Phoenix One, who are right on your tail. They want your playoff bye spot, and Arrow in the bottom lane, who's going to be your opponent, has tons of accolades, and he's actually got the most player of the games. You're right behind him, the next closest AD carry. How do you feel about your matchup specifically with Arrow?
It's pretty interesting. I'd say the last time we faced him, I remember there was a game where I was playing against him and with Jin and Janna, and he just kept like poking at me, and then he ran mid and destroyed Jensen a bit. So he puts out a lot of pressure. Yeah, he's pretty good. Faced him in solo queue a few times. I think he played Draven today too, which I don't know if it's too good of a pick. He went like Bork Ghostblade, so it'll be interesting.
Just tell Jensen, don't feed my lane.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good luck for you guys next week, and once again, happy birthday. We're going to send it back over to the guys at the desk now.
Thank you very much, Kobe. And yes, happy birthday to Sneaky. Great cast today, everyone, of course, in the broadcast. Let's talk about a probably closer than it should have been match overall. Cloud9 got off to a pretty solid early lead. EnVy came back into it, and then it came down to 50-minute team fights.
Yeah, and I think while you can say, like, great job, contracts and all that, like, EnVy's comp, I thought, was decent overall. We saw them have success with the Kaelin before. One of the times we saw it before, they tried to run the Karma mid. I do like having a DPS mid there instead, so the Cassiopeia makes a lot of sense. The problem is Ninja is not good on traditional mage carries. He's fine with, like, it's a playmaker, go out and do something crazy, take a weird angle, but if it's front-to-back team fighting or following up aggressively on an immobile champion, he's not good at it.
Yeah, consistency not his thing. Of course, he got, like, the early Banshee's Veil, which meant he had less damage than he's supposed to do, and when Apollo ever gets one shot, they just don't have any threats left. Like, you look at the draft, and you look at the sort of the 1, 2, 3 picks. Okay, Lulu, Caitlyn in the bot lane. Okay, Shen in the top lane. All right, so they're pretty low damage in the top lane, right? Not a lot of damage junglers out there. And then, like, I see them ban Talon, which I took offense to because it's like, oh, they have an all AD team, right? Like, there's not a lot of magic damage junglers left. Just ban the Elise, then suddenly you're not allowed to play Talon anyway. So I felt like that was a little strange. But they went for 2 damage dealers, and as you said, the Cassio doesn't exactly work for Ninja.
Exactly. I mean, Ninja, you can say it's gonna make the team comp a little wonky for EnVy, but then you're giving Ninja what's probably his best champ right now in a playstyle he's comfortable playing. Yeah. Instead, you see him on the Cassio, and it was pretty uninspiring all game long.
Yeah, and speaking of being uninspiring all game long, I think we're gonna keep ragging on Ninja for a little bit here because I think there were several very key mistakes from him. The first thing to bring up is actually the tower dive, almost first blood that came through from Cloud9. He has Summoner Heal and a Shen ult available, and Ninja calls for neither.
Right, so you see the Orion Shockwave come in. you see the Q come down. He doesn't pop his own heal here, and then he doesn't, like you said, call for the Shen ult, and that allows C9 to pick up the kill. If they misplay there and they actually just get that kill for themselves, that's huge, because I understand Ninja not going to win a counter matchup versus Jensen. He got solo killed later on. Those parts are understandable in terms of just getting bullied out a little bit by one of the best mid laners in the league, but when you have the opportunity to counter a play that the other team is messing up and get an advantage for your team, not doing that is such a problem. And Cassio's a champion that when you get her that like little extra gold lead early on, she starts getting control of the game. And the fact that they just gave that kill up for nothing, and Lyra nice enough to be able to be there to punish it a little bit, but it still could have been so much better on the side of EnVy.
Right, I felt like a game where Lyra was really doing a lot of good work. He had the early jungle invade and steal against contracts. Like, that player is doing so well for EnVy, and you wonder what maybe Lyra could do with a better team. But our next replay, essentially, Lyra setting up another really good play. Seraph comes with the Shen as well, and Ninja just fails to join the dive.
Right, and in this replay, it is going to be an instance where you're going to see that the front line does go a little deep on the side of EnVy with Lyra receiving the Shen ultimate here, and it forces Jensen to flash away. Ninja needs to follow. You flash over that Raptor pit wall, you get onto Jensen, you blow up one of the only carries on the side of them right away, and you basically win the fight. You see Jensen there already by himself, just dealing with the Rek'Sai and the Shen.
He's at like 1/3.
Yeah, he's at 1/3 health. If you have any sort of follow-up from the Cassio there, you win the fight. Instead, your front line is totally by itself because none of your backline damage followed up. That lets C9 melt them down. They have to take this weird path into a turret to try and get out, and then to end it all off, Ninja still gets engaged on and killed. So, I mean, like I said, we don't want to rag on Ninja too hard, but this is completely a game where he could have been a monster carry and basically won the game. Because if they win that fight, they go and turn Baron. Instead, C9 wins that fight and they grab Baron, and that's really what turned the game back in your favor. You see it basically right there on your screen where the blue
like
just dipped.
1/3 of the damage output. And yeah, the blue dips down, but look at the damage graph right there, right? 24,000 damage from the Cassiopeia, a 55-minute late game team fighting mage. You are not allowed to have damage numbers this low. This is not okay for Ninja. This is honestly a huge issue and a major reason why EnVy are not doing well.
Right, and I mean, you don't want to be, like I said, we're being very critical of him, but you can't just rely on friendship and things like that. Right, it's absolutely deserved. He takes up an import slot. You have to wonder if he's worth that, because he's one of the lowest performing mid laners in the LCS right now. And you see performances like this where if you had like a good Cassio performance, like even an average Cassio performance, you might be able to win this game in a handful of situations. And you can't blame miscommunication or things like that, because your all Korean speaking frontline dove onto the Ori, separated her from the team, and you just had to flash follow to get the kill.
Yeah, exactly. But speaking of mid laners, though, Jensen, of course, a much better time, much better game this time around. More than double his opponent's damage overall. Player of the game for Jensen, absolutely. That Orianna was massive. 1,000 damage per minute, super important shockwaves that got game-winning picks, like everything you need from this player.
Yeah, I mean, definitely sometimes stats get inflated in long games like this where you're just melting frontline over and over, but there were a number of important team fights where if he does not get multiple members of the enemy backline dead instantly, then they lose those fights. So Jensen had a great game. On top of the early pressure that he put on early in the counter matchup, he got the counter pick. He showed it was worth giving the draft resources to him. That was basically where C9 was able to use a lot of their early pressure, because their bot lane was losing and their top lane was going even.
Absolutely the case. So beautiful play by him, of course, Cloud9 with the deserved win. They do improve to another match win here and stop the losing streak. But let's check out some of the other players who had made big waves and got player of the game this week. Keen had actually grabbed 3 player of the game honors in their 5 games, or their 4 wins overall. 75% for him, big for him, of course. Lyra deserving, of course, of those 2 player of the games as well. Hanser with 2, Darshan, Ryu 2 as well. These players all had done a lot of work for their squad. And you can kind of look down at the whole split overall, though, and players who are still leading the scoreboards. And yes, Impact, Dardoch, Hanser, those 3, kind of quite high above everyone else. Jensen's kind of sneaking into that top spot. Now that he's got 8, he's in that top 5, but kind of no surprise to see, like, these are some of the players who've really been putting on the big carry performance.
Yeah, I mean, Dardoch in particular with Immortal's kind of late season upswing, a lot of it does come off his back. His lanes have done a better job stabilizing, but they still need that spark in the early game, and Dardoch almost always provides that. Even their losing performance today, he was still 4-2, I think, at 10 minutes in one of their losses.
Right, yeah, had definitely had some good performances, and we'll see if these players can keep putting up the big shows, because there's still those playoff spots up for grabs. Now, today's matches are, of course, complete. Let's check out how these teams have finished the penultimate week of the spring split. TSM are in first place. A green bar by the name or by the number means they are locked into a playoff spot. Not necessarily a bye, of course, but they are guaranteed a playoff spot. The red bar at the bottom means gone from playoffs. They are not guaranteed the promotion tournament. Of course, EnVy could improve to 5 wins, so them versus Echo Fox, of course, still up for grabs. But we know there's only 8 teams of the 10 now that can make playoffs. 3 of them up for grabs, 3 spots open, 5 teams in the running for those 3 spots to talk about that. Now, let's talk about the final match to kick off the end of the regular season. The positions will be locked in after this. Cloud9 taking on Team Dignitas to start out the day on Friday, and following that is going to be FlyQuest versus Echo Fox. Neither of those teams guaranteed their fate in the postseason. Hugely important there, that second match right there, that Echo Fox versus FlyQuest one, as they hope to play well at the end of the split.
I mean, we've seen FlyQuest struggling a little bit. They did seem better this week despite not winning a series. They were much more competitive. And with Echo Fox being one of the bottom 3 teams in the league, you hope that they just find one win there, and that's what they really need to hopefully secure their playoff spot. Echo Fox at the same time, trying to avoid relegations, need to win there.
Yeah, gonna hope they can kind of stay ahead of Liquid and EnVy. Now, at the start of the day, we asked you to share some of your experiences about how you LCS. And of course, that led to a flurry of furry, wonderful tweets.
Bring in the cats.
Yeah, I got a lot of hatred cat tweets. The funny thing is, I don't dislike pictures of cats. I just think they're not useful as animals. So it's like, you can send me pictures all you want. They're still cute and
They're not
fluffy.
functional. You're not like riding a cat or
Well,
anything.
right, I mean, just saying, they're but they're cute to look at the internet. I like the iguani. That's probably doesn't howl quite as much, but still quite wonderful overall. Quick shout out, by the way, to Rivington Jr. Of course, yes, relates to Rivington III, who also shows how he LCSs, and yep, his son up on stream. I didn't know he was related to Kobe.
I'm surprised you can write that much already. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, that was a joke, obviously. You didn't laugh at my joke. I didn't like that.
Sorry.
It's okay. I forgive you.
Me! That's great.
Thank you. Now, if you haven't already, make sure you keep tweeting yourselves, what your LCS experience is like. Please tweet us, #HowILCS. We'll make sure to share more of your wonderful animal-focused tweets in next week's show. Now, that's going to do it for us here tonight in the LCS, but stick around because in 5 minutes we will have myself, Jat, and Azale, Mark's gone, thank goodness, to talk about the stories of the week on a fresh new episode of NA LCS Tonight. Now, for myself, the casters, the analysts, except for him, and the entire broadcast crew, thanks for watching, and good night. And Mark is
good
walk
night.
away now.